can stand up. I'm good. Oh, thank you.
Here, I can sit right there. Yeah, it's someone else.
October 1st, I think. Did you get your time model? Yeah, they were. Let me see if they do.
It's good to watch. Yeah, after that, yeah. Once you get in there, it's no fun. Unless it's just pretty.
If everyone would please stand, we will call this meeting of the Georgetown City Council to order. Before we start our meeting, if we could have a word of silence. Thank you. I would ask that would Councilman Showalter lead us in the pledge. Thank you. You may be seated. I'd like to welcome each and one of you to the Georgetown City Council meeting for Monday, August 26, 2024, and we're here to conduct business for the city of Georgetown. At this time, I will ask Madam Clerk to call roll, please.
Mr. Allen?
Here.
Mrs. Wilkins-Brett?
Here.
Mrs. Butcher Conway? Mrs. Hamburg?
Present.
Mr. Hampton?
Here.
Mr. Showalter?
Here.
Mr. Stone?
Here.
Mrs. Tackett?
Here.
Thank you. At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve of the minutes of the last meeting?
Motion. Second.
Motion made by Ms. Tackett, second by Mr. Allen. Are there further questions and/or comments? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say likewise. You should have received through email and electronic the receipt of the check registry. If you have received those, council, would you please show by raising your hand? Let the record reflect that all received. At this time, we have the Georgetown Fire Department with some promotional pinnings. So Chief Thompson, we'll let you have it.
Hello, Mayor, Council, CEO Golden. Just want to thank you for this opportunity to recognize members of our department that recently were promoted. The last few weeks have been a whirlwind, just with all the retirements, promotions, the hiring process that we have going on, but we've been able to get through it, and I'm excited for tonight. A lot of experience left on July 31st, but on August 1st, we had men and women that were willing to step into these new roles. Very proud of the men that we had and the men and women that are moving forward right now. We have 3 of these leaders here tonight that we're going to win, and unfortunately, Fire Marshal Ann Willett is not here tonight. She has COVID, which is probably a good thing. Don't let her know we let all these people in here. So the next council meeting, we're going to do the 4 new captains that we have as well. So we'll do that. So after Chief Gifford retired, that assistant chief of operations position was kind of the linchpin to fill in all these other positions. It was a domino effect. And I talked to Seth Johnson about this position a lot, but also that he was doing a tremendous job with the prevention side. He was doing an excellent job, and everything to do with community relations or social media, everything was just going great. But I thought the department and myself could benefit greatly from having him in the office next door to me. Once Chief Johnson made that decision to move over to operations, all the other puzzle pieces fell into place. I'm thrilled to have him in this role. He's already doing a fantastic job. He's very organized, and I need someone like that to keep me straight. But he's dedicated to this city. He grew up here. He loves Georgetown. And tonight, I would like to ask his daughter Vivian to come forward and pin Assistant Chief Johnson to the role of Assistant Chief of Operations. Moved over, they left the vacancy in Assistant Chief of Prevention. I cannot be more thrilled with the individual that was promoted to this role. Cam Johnson was our training chief.
Central Training EMS District 3, EMS District 3, respond to 152 Bear River Boulevard, 152 Bear River Boulevard.
Thank you. Cam Johnson was our training chief. Dave Johnson was our training chief, and he had done a phenomenal job with our department of recruit training, leading we worked at the training center. Done a fantastic job with that. He has a wonderful personality. He's always smiling and makes people happy to see him, so that should help with code enforcement. So I'm just very excited to have him as well. The role that he's going to bring just through public education, community efforts, and again, Georgetown, and he was very excited to get in this position, and the future is very bright for Chief Cam Johnson. So I'm going he actually asked me to pin him. Because he was out of love. our department in new leadership positions within the next couple of months. So it's been a lot of moving around. With one of those moving around pieces was our next gentleman. The training chief is a vital role, especially coming up with this recruit class. We have 8 folks that are coming in, getting ready to start September 16th. And this position is going to be that individual we're going to see every single day that's going to hold them accountable and hold our department accountable to them. So we're excited with that. Chris Logan, Training Chief Logan, will you please go forward? So Chris, he loves his profession. I've seen it over the last decade. Former Chief Whiteley's here with him from Winchester. His former chief is here with him tonight, so to recognize him as well. He's passionate about his profession. He cares about the men and women who are our range and cares about his community. So our new training chief tonight will be him by his dad, Glenn. Congratulations. While they're here, the men that are here tonight and men and women that serve our community every day, just want to thank you all for what you do each and every day.
Thank you, Chief, and thank you all for your service and what you provide with this community. It is evident that your passion and what you do for the city is not forgotten, and we, the city and everybody's here, really appreciate you, and I want to give you another hand. Next on our agenda, we have public comments. A reminder that public comments that this is an opportunity for you to come before council, state your concern or business to bring before council. A reminder that you will have 4 minutes. You will be timed by Madam Clerk, and when it gets close to that time, she will let you know, and we will ask that you be very respectful of that time, and so we can give everyone an opportunity to address this council. So I'm going to start here on the list is Miss Allison Catron and traffic issues at Derby Estates and High School.
Good evening, City Council. Thank you for your time and consideration this evening. My name is Allison Catron. I'm a 23-year-old resident of Derby Estates. Ed and I have raised 2 wonderful sons while living in Derby and have enjoyed a lot of good times with friends and neighbors, old and new. I'm here before you tonight to point out some serious traffic issues in Derby Estates and to provide a general overview of the issues as I personally see them. I know there are others here tonight who like to address the council on this and other issues, so I won't take much of your time. The issues I bring forward include blatant disregard for traffic safety laws in the Derby Estates neighborhood and the Long Lick Road entrance to Scott County High School that is directly across from Derby Estates. To begin, there are issues with neighborhood speeders and blatant disregard for traffic safety laws, speeding in all areas of Derby Estates regardless of the 25-mile-an-hour posted speed limit signs, people running stop signs, drivers not stopping when bus arms are engaged. The residents of Derby Estates have seen these issues being created by both residents and by visitors coming and going. In addition, these behaviors are not isolated to Secretariat Street, which is the main thoroughfare, but happen on practically every street and every stop sign in the neighborhood. When I see kids outside playing, riding on the sidewalks with chalk, riding their bikes, or playing a game of tag or hide and seek, or people walking with their dogs, I have very mixed emotions. I love seeing them outside away from technology and playing in the sunshine or even the rain. But at the same time, I'm terrified that something is going to happen to one of them one day because of the blatant disregard for simple, common sense traffic etiquette. There really are too many specific instances to cite with my limited time with you tonight, but multiple residents have video and firsthand experience into the types of behaviors that are going on and have taken them to the Derby Estates Facebook page to raise awareness of those issues and who are creating them. My personal message to you is this: I care about my neighbors. The issues we are dealing with in the neighborhood are of high importance, and I very much want the neighborhood to be a safe one for everyone. So along with many others, I'll keep raising the awareness until something is done. As a neighborhood, our initial thoughts and suggestions are install multiple 25-mile-an-hour speed zone signs. We currently have one. Install raised speed bumps, traps in multiple locations of the subdivision, or look into other viable options to help prevent these things from happening. The second issue is the traffic flow coming from the new high school onto Long Lick. Last Monday, I addressed the traffic committee, which consisted of a representative from the state transportation cabinet. Last Thursday, I addressed the Scott County Board of Education, both of which have pointed fingers at the other. To me, that's not acceptable. This is a massive issue that warrants the collaboration of the state transportation cabinet, the school board, the city council, and residents of Derby Estates. So I think everyone is kind of aware of what's going on, so I'm going to skip that. It is my hope that a video recently taken by Derby Estates was shared with Mayor Jenkins, shown to members of Traffic Committee, and was also sent to the board members. This very short video, although taken several days ago, shares at a glance what is going on at this intersection. It's my hope that you've had a chance to review this, but if you haven't, we can get you a copy. Let's see. With this type of activity this soon into the school year, I can only imagine what the intersection is going to be like during sporting events, especially football, since the stadium is closest to Long Lick. We are fully aware that Derby Estates is not the only subdivision in Georgetown or the county for that matter with issues. Each one has their own set of unique problems and contributing factors. As a city, county, community, we simply cannot and should not allow these issues to go unattended. However, we cannot expect our law enforcement officers and deputies to be everywhere at any one given time to monitor these two areas and babysit those who want to break the rules. I'll send it to you.
Larry Smith, traffic issues in Derby Estates and high school.
Hi, thanks for giving me an opportunity. We really appreciate it. I'm here for the traffic issues. We're aware that we're bringing the problem to you. We know you can't solve the problem. I sat here and watched all those fire department gentlemen. They got a call and they're out. Safety. There's an issue. You hear that siren a few minutes later, there's an issue. Okay? We know everybody in this community, we all like this community. I've lived here coming up on 40 years. We've lived in Derby Estates for 21 years. I have 3 kids in Scott County schools. So if you're not familiar, and I would imagine most of you are, if you look at Long Lick, that area right there, all that traffic dumping there, count the number of schools. Count those schools. I believe there's 9. And basically, they're all going one way or another on Long Lick and down at that traffic circle. So I think this young lady over here mentioned that the other night. We're very unique. Derby Estates is a very unique subdivision. It's not small. I don't know the number. Maybe somebody knows. My guess is it's over 700. Okay? So what I'm here to ask, I'm here to invite you, the Board of Education, the Traffic Committee, the state, not you have to be, the person that comes from state is going to have some authority, right? You don't need somebody who works for state. You need somebody that can prompt a change, okay? This is an invitation. This is our community. We all live here. Nobody wants to see somebody get hurt. Nobody. I would be shocked if somebody would say, yeah, I want to see somebody get hurt. I don't want to see that ambulance come down that street because of what's going on. Okay? As she had told us, the lady before, she had said, we have some ideas. We'll bring some ideas. You guys come up with some. Talk to the school board. Have they got any ideas? We were basically told, this is it, nothing we can do. Do we believe that? Maybe, but can't we figure something out? I invite you, let's figure it out. We'll come up with a date. Our neighborhood are inviting you with those entities. Do the police department needs to be involved in it? I would think. Ask them about sitting out there and watching car after car make left-hand turns. But I appreciate, I know we can resolve this. It's going to take work. It's not going to happen next week, but it can happen. Consider it. Talk to the people on the school board. Legally, evidently, they're not required to. So what? Okay? Is the letter of the law important or is the spirit of the law important? Let's look at it. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Frank Young.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for allowing me to come up today and talk to you guys. But before I do, I want you to entertain me for a second with a little pronoun talk, right? A little pronoun talk, right? We hear it all the time these days, right? We, us, our. You, they, them, all right? We, us, our, you, they, them, right? We need to leave the you, they, them out there because this is we, us, and our. We, Georgetown, Kentucky, right? We, Kentucky, we, Georgetown, not they, we. This is us, right? And we have an entity out there that encompasses the whole county, right, in several facilities. So with that being said, this is we. This is we. I went out there on Friday, right? I went out there on Friday, set my chair out there, and I watched everything and got to wave at everybody as they went by, right? But then I took some hash marks, right? Statistical data on what's going on. Well, let me tell you what's going on. Between 2:35 and 4, 190 cars came in and out of Derby. At that same time, 188 cars came out of not just the school, but that exit of the school. 27 of those were buses. After 4 o'clock, there was 170 vehicles that came out in and out of Derby. There were 195 vehicles that came out of the school, in and out of the school. 12 of those were buses. Altogether, in that time period, well, the last time period was from 4 to 4:30. It's 30 minutes, right? Altogether, Derby produced 260 vehicles in and out between 2:35 and 4:30. The school produced 383 vehicles in and out. 39 of those were buses. That was 643 vehicles in 120 minutes. I like to let the numbers do its own talking, right? Now, I already gave this speech to Todd, right? Thank you. Statistically speaking, something's going to happen out there, right? And we need to push that conversation up to right now, right? Where I work, I'd stick locks on stuff and I'd shut it down right now before somebody got killed. But I don't have the power to do that, right? I'd go out there and slap locks on so many machines you wouldn't believe it, and I would just really upset a lot of people. So what are we going to do? I challenge this council, and I challenge the state to get together and fix this. Because it's one of us that's going to get killed out there. Thank you.
Aaron Shu, Regional Development.
Thank you. I didn't realize that this was going to be kind of the prologue to my talk tonight. Otherwise, I would have prepared some talking points around traffic, because I'm talking about the exact same intersection. For our friends from Derby Estates who might not be aware, there's a proposal in place for a regional business park to take place in between McClelland and Lloyd Road. The proposal is to put 300 houses to the outside edge of the bypass and create 1,400 employment positions in the development to the inside of the bypass. So add that on to the traffic woes that have been discussed so far here tonight. So thank you again for the opportunity to address the council. I always appreciate it. Our Friends of Great Crossing Facebook group is up to nearly 800 members at this point. Who would have thought so many people cared so deeply about a business park? In light of the continued community feedback on concerns around the western expansion, I was really disappointed to see the council's endorsement of the comprehensive plan. I understand that the endorsement is largely symbolic, but symbols matter, and an endorsement of the comprehensive plan is a tacit endorsement of this project. I encourage everyone prior to the next vote to watch the July planning meeting if you haven't already. The community showed up in force at that meeting. And we have just come to feel that there is a big difference between allowing public comments and actually considering what the public has to say. As I've been mentioning, a frequent flyer at these meetings since March, this feels like a foregone conclusion to a lot of us in the community, and we don't feel like we're being heard. Since we last spoke, the FAQ document from the July meeting was posted. That's a wonderful step, very much appreciated. However, it is far from complete. There are still a lot of unanswered questions from that meeting and from prior comments that have not been addressed. Two specific points that I'd like to call out in relation to that document are the declaration of the Lanes Run revenue, which has been punted to a supplemental response as part of the fiscal year-end closing. But given that this entire thing is predicated on receiving a portion of that revenue, it would be lovely if we could at least see the 2022 numbers, even if we don't have the current ones. Secondly, the estimated cost for the infrastructure for this development. I quote directly, "The projected total cost for infrastructure development at the proposed site is $28,046,000. This figure includes estimates for improvements related to water, wastewater, roads, and natural gas. This number does not include costs associated with property acquisition, due diligence, or any other miscellaneous expenses," end quote. Nor does it include the cost of services such as fire, police, emergency responders, who we've had so many here tonight. I know that we've got some grants and some sewer funding teed up, but it's not that much. And the shared contributions of the regional partners for the initial purchase look like small potatoes compared to that number. Yet they get the lion's share of the revenue in the proposed cost-sharing structure. I look forward to seeing updates on those items. Keep checking, as well as answers to the other questions that were posed by this council and the community at that meeting. I have a list of those questions that I'd be happy to share if anybody would like the notes. As we approach November, please expect that each of you are going to be asked for your stance on this project directly, and that those responses will be shared widely. If that's a question that you would prefer not to answer, it might be worth some personal reflection to think about why you'd prefer not to share your stance on it. Thank you.
Dan Holman, Regional Project.
I'm Dan Holman from Georgetown. So regarding this regional project, I guess we're all aware, and this is all related to the same area of town that we're talking about. It just is not a good idea. It seems a lot of people have the perspective that it's just not a good idea to put a business park there that is much better suited. It's like heaven opened up the sky, and for the first time in 200 years, this Wiles Farm land, this culturally, historically, geographically significant piece of land becomes available at a time when Georgetown needs park land and green space. And we should all look at and discuss in the coming weeks the master plan for Parks and Recreation that was published, and we paid a lot of money for it in January, but it hasn't really been talked about. At one of the steering committee meetings for the comprehensive plan, it was asked, has anyone looked at the master plan for Parks and Rec? And it was like, basically no. Like Joe Kane said, I was at the interlocal meeting where they presented it, And then they asked, was that ever presented to city council or the fiscal court? And they said they didn't think so. Was it ever approved or endorsed? And Joe Covington didn't know. He said, I don't know if the fiscal court ever approved or endorsed that. I'll have to look into that. So nobody, we're not talking about that. That shows on one of the pages that we are right now today 50% under a benchmark for green space compared to other communities, 50% under a benchmark for green space in our community today, not to mention what's coming in the future. So it just seems like that is obviously, that should be discussed, a gift to the community for green space recreation, all kind of, youth activities, and that the business park stuff much more appropriately goes other places, such as Lexus Way, where this Whitaker Bank land is, that nobody in the past year and a half of this mayor and council has contacted Whitaker to talk about it. The perfect place for our next business park. That's where it should be. Delaplane Road, right across from Lane's Run. This CJ May is actively trying to market business park land right there, and we're not helping him do it. We're not talking to him. I really think Jack Connor views other developers as his competitors. Also on Lane's, right across Delaplane from Lane's Run, there's 200 acres of land. And Todd's talked a lot about Sadieville. We should be looking at Sadieville, of land that for some reason that's marked as low-density residential. It was currently bought this year by Coors Industrial. It's on the Muddy Ford and Delaplane. And so I asked people, why was that not considered? And the answer is, I don't know. Joe Pat Covington, I don't know. Bernie Jenkins, I don't know. The people at Planning and Zoning who are left, Matt Summers and Joe Kane, have left. But before Joe Kane left, I asked him, he said, I don't know. It's worth looking at. And then he left, so we never looked at it. So there's a lot of questions about why are we doing this, why are we doing that? I don't know. I met Reagan Taylor the other day. He called me, the judge executive for Madison County. This all came from Madison County. We talked he wanted to just talk to a citizen, and so we talked for 2 hours and had a candid conversation about where all this is coming, about this whole thing. So Reagan Taylor, he wanted me to know, he's a decent person. He's not some sleaze trying to, whatever. So Reagan Taylor's a decent human being. But some of this stuff is sleazy, this going on. And the conversation, 2 hours with him, raised more concerns than before. He doesn't know anything about Georgetown's local culture. We met over at Canewood, Giovanni's Pizza, right near this site. He didn't know where in town he was. He'd said he'd been to the site I think one time they took him over there. He doesn't know how the interstates are laid out here. He doesn't know about our high schools. He doesn't know about our local politics. He'd never heard of David Lusby. He didn't know about, he didn't know really anything about our local community. He's leaving that to Joe Pat Covington. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Terry Thomas, Boston.
Thank you, council, for taking the time out to listen. My name is Terry Thomas. I'm on here on behalf of me and my friend Darnell. We speaking on behalf of renaming Boston Park. We done went through all the process of park and recreation, and now it's going to be turned over to you, because I think they said money's involved or whatever else. But this is a project that I know me and myself, my friend, we done put a lot of work into, and it's for the love of this neighborhood. Some of the stuff we don't understand, because this is what we're fussing about. We're fussing about naming a 152-year-old neighborhood, getting something to where it has its own identity. And in the process of having its own identity, we have another park there called Ed Davis Park, and they want to mix the names together, but that's not what we want to do. We got a building over there named Ed Davis Park. So we don't think Ed Davis Park need to be put on the sign at all. It's coming your way. We just asking you to take a real good look at it, and let's see where we come out. But just based on the votes and the petition that was taken up, it's pretty much a closed case. But we'll let y'all see. We'll get y'all in on it, and we'll see where we'll go from there. We want to tell you thank you for your time.
Thank you.
It will be Boston Park. Right now it's called Ed Davis Park. Some people call it Ed Davis Park. Okay, well, that's the name that was on the petition. And I think that's the one that's gonna name in votes, but this is really means a lot to us. We're talking about 152 years of a community. That's just legally. That's not saying what was there before they officially said it. So we just want y'all to take all of that in consideration. Thank y'all much.
Thank you, Chair. Stephen Glass, Regional Development.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I'm Steve Glass, 143 South Hamilton Street, Georgetown. Ronald Reagan once said that the 9 most frightening words in the English language was, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help." Well, the evidence of that is this regional economic development plan. I've heard the excuse made that the reason they want to put it there was it was for sale and it had been for sale for a while and nobody bought it, so that's why they decided to put it there. It doesn't belong there. Long Lick Pike, between the roundabout and Glass Pike, is the last pristine farmland, or one of the last in the county. There's no development down there. And the excuse that it was for sale for putting it where you're proposing, that's not all of it. You're gonna buy up to 1,000 acres there that front on Long Lick and the Lloyd Pike. We've already had complaints tonight from these people here about traffic. And the excuse that's been put up, well, it's going to be developed anyway. Well, if you all don't develop it and somebody else does, at least the free market will have made the decision to put it there, not you guys. You guys got enough on your plates, problems that you need to solve without getting involved in something like this. And even if you're going to build it, it doesn't belong on this side of I-75. This side of I-75 is residential, retail, service businesses that serve the residential parts of this town. The other side of I-75 is industrial. Toyota, Lanes Run, all the other industrial parks that have been built over there. Holman and I rode over there 2 or 3 weeks ago, looked at it. It's a mess. And that's where this industrial park belongs. Because the kind of industrial parks that you guys build, you know, that's not really an industrial park. You're just using up land because you already own it. Go over there and look at it. And if you put it where you're proposing, you're going to ruin this side of town. You're going to not only ruin what you're proposing, you're going to ruin that whole area over there. I've lived and owned property on Long Lick Pike for 56 years, and I don't want you doing it that way. Put it out on Tromball Pike, Johnson Mill Road, where the judge lives. See how they like it out there.
Thank you. Thank you, Caitlin Tudor, RIP and Traffic and Parking.
Good evening. I think everybody knows who I am, but I'm Caitlin Tudor. And I want to echo a lot of the things that have already been said, but I want to put just a little bit different perspective on it. A week ago today, I was at the traffic committee. I surprised Todd Stone by showing up, but my father-in-law asked me to be there because he lives in Derby Estates. There was a lot of very angry people about this traffic issue with the new high school. And it was very clear that the city, the school board, the county, and the state had no indication nor desire to work together to get to a solution. None. They punted that ball umpteen times. And it flat came out that, we'll look at it, maybe something will be done. Just like People are saying, how many deaths is it gonna take before something is actually done? Okay, so traffic in front of a school and a subdivision is already an issue. Now let's talk about the regional industrial park. Okay, you're wanting to put it in between 2 high schools with multiple subdivisions in that area. How is that likely, almost inevitably, going to affect the traffic that is already a problem, that is not being addressed, that likely won't be addressed until there are multiple fatalities? Even then, who knows, because it takes forever to get anything done. With the resounding non-support of the regional industrial plan by actual citizens who live here, who are involved in the community, who don't want it, it's pretty loud and clear that they don't want it. They can see the problems. They understand that there are problems. They understand that our local government and our state government are not supporting the infrastructure that is needed to adequately provide for what's necessary to make this happen in a safe and productive manner. Last city council meeting, when the comp plan was approved by city council, it was repeatedly asked by more than one council member whether or not the comp plan had been given adequate time in the community, adequate time to be discussed with the community. And I can flat out tell you that was a lie when it was told that it was adequately given to the community to voice their opinions. It was a lie. It was not brought to the citizens until this spring, and then we were told that we couldn't participate in anything until the public forum in June, which a lot of citizens went to. Then what was talked about, we weren't allowed to say anything. It was a comprehensive plan presentation that took forever to get through, and all we could do was put stickers on poster boards as to what our primary interests were. Okay, that's not getting public insight. And then planning and zoning in July flat shut a bunch of us down, and that's not acceptable. So when you were told that the public had been given adequate time to put their influence in and their views in, it was a lie, a flat lie. Okay, last thing, again with traffic and parking. I know of at least 2 businesses here in downtown that are facing having to close because there's inadequate parking. Because you guys somebody decided to put the pavilion up. Somebody decided to do it concurrently with the city hall renovation. Okay, that's not acceptable. We have to figure out how people are gonna have parking in downtown. If you're gonna want to continue to grow, like you keep saying that you wanna do, thank you.
And now we come to item number 7 on the agenda, the event application. The first one is A, A Thrill to Give.
Thank you, Mayor Jenkins and council members. I will keep this short. I'm Artie Janelle. I'm the Director of Parks and Rec Dance, and I'm here to request the Main Street closure for our 12th annual Thrill to Give. Our dates are October 19th is a Saturday, and our rain date is the 20th. We request from 5 to 9 from Mulberry to Broadway. Our program last year raised over $1,000 for the Amen House and about 3,000 pounds of food, and we really enjoy working and partnering with the community and bringing everything together for our dance parade. So we're requesting the street closure for those dates.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion made by Ms. Brent. Do I have a second? Second made by Mr. Hampton. Are there further questions and or comments? All those in favor of this event application, Thrill to Give, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say likewise.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, item B, Jake's Way Cruise Inn.
Hi, my name is Cheyenne Combs. I'm a teacher at Georgetown Middle School. 2 years ago, on August 8th, my fiance, Jake Charles, was hit and killed on the roadway, and myself, along with all of the people who loved him very, very much, just couldn't let him go out that way. So we started a charity in his name called Jake's Way. We partner with the funeral homes in Georgetown, and actually we've started expanding to where we are partnering with a lot of the different counties in Kentucky to help cover funeral expenses of accidental and sudden deaths. We acquire the majority of our funds through a Cowboys car and bike cruise-in on October 20th. We are here today. We've already submitted our application and everything, but we're asking for a road closure on October 20th from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. It will be on Corporate Boulevard at the intersection of Innovation Way. Next to Country Boy, that's where we host the whole event. Our people have the best crew in the whole world, so they really keep it together and all that. Sometimes the police is present, and we love that. But really, every year, they've kind of told us, like, hey, you guys actually don't need us here because you're doing such a great job. So, but I am here to request that today.
Make a motion, Mayor.
Okay, let's do this. Everybody kind of slow down a little bit. Let's figure this out. Okay, so motion made by Ms. Brent. By Todd Stone. Thank you. Second by Ms. Brent. Okay, all those in favor of the motion to allow Jake's Way cruise in, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say likewise.
Thank you very much, and we'd love to see you on October 20th.
Yes, thank you. Next is Georgetown College.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, honorable council members. My name is Randy Jones. I'm the director of the Department of Campus Safety for Georgetown College. We have submitted an application for the college's yearly Student Engagement and Involvement Fair. This is an opportunity for incoming freshmen and returning upperclassmen to become engaged in not only our college-based organizations, but also community-based organizations. And this will be basically an afternoon-long event this coming Wednesday. What we are requesting is the closure of Memorial Drive and College Street from the Anderson West parking lot to the Night Hall East parking lot. This is to allow these community organizations to set up tents and distribute information, engage with the students. They're also hosting a fish fry. You're all invited. So if it meets with the council's approval, we have submitted the proper applications. All we're requesting is barricade closures for those streets. No additional police support.
Motion, Mayor.
Motion made by Mr. Allen.
Second.
Second made by Ms. Tackett. Are there further questions and or comments? All those in favor of allowing Georgetown College for their event, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say likewise.
And
Thank
it
you,
is
sir.
a great event. I've done it myself a time or two.
All right. Next item is my mayor comments. Want to kind of update you on since our last meeting with the regional economic development. First of all, again, we thank you for coming and express your concerns and so on. We are continuing to update on our website questions and concerns brought by council or by the public. And so when you go to www.georgetownky.gov and you go to regional economic development, you're going to see some updates that have been added to that form, and we will continue to do that as we continue this process and let you know what's going on. And our next step for us is to look at and finalize the interlocal agreement, and once that is done, we will make sure that council and Brock, that you're able to see that and view that, and then have some discussion on that, and then prior to bringing it back to council for a final vote on that. And we'll keep you abreast of that. Next is coming up next Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is the biggest event here in Georgetown called the Festival of the Horse. I think it's now called the Best of the Bluegrass as a side to that. Council, you are invited to participate in the chili cook-off, which will be on Thursday night. And on Friday, we have the children's parade. And the children's parade, if you want to take part in that, we will offer you a ride on the fire truck. And that Chief Thompson will meet you at 5:30 across from the Anderson Hall, which will be the Student Center. So you can, at that time, if you want to take part in that, you can meet at that time. On Saturday will be the actual horse parade, and then you will be also invited, if you want to participate, will be to ride in a trolley, which is owned by the horse park. They have a trolley, and you all can ride in that. I would ask that if you are going to take part in this, please contact Wendy, my executive assistant, let her know that your desire is for that. One other thing that, an update, demolition for the green building will start next week. And two other things I want to address. First of all, we appreciate you from Derby Estates coming in, and also those coming in and talk about the changing of the community. We appreciate your passion, and we understand that, and we do hear you, but just want to give you a couple things to note. With Derby Estates and with the school and the District 7 of the state, our city engineer will continue to facilitate and addressing these issues as we go down, and hopefully we'll be able to address that. So we will continue that. And also with the issue with changing name for the park, again, you know, I've been in this area since 1972, and I always known it to be an area where you have people there that are passionate about that community, and it goes without saying that there's a lot of history there, and we have not forgotten that. I've been in conversation with Mr. Beckett, who's the director of the Georgetown, Scott County Parks and Rec. We will continue to have conversation going forward and hope to address these issues going forward. So, and we'll keep you abreast on that as we go. And next we have on our agenda is we have the council committee reports, and I think we have finance.
Yeah, the Finance Committee met August 19th, and we approved the minutes from June 17th. And we had our investment update. Our general bank account had grown to $7.5 million, and Finance Director Clark is going to move some of that money, approximately $5 million, to a money market account to draw better interest. We're currently getting about 1.65 versus 3.6, so we'll have some activity on moving some of those funds to a money market account. Also, Finance Director Clark, we have a CD with a bank that is restricted. The CD is restricted, so we were asking about the restrictions around that. So Finance Director Clark's going to investigate that, let us know what are those restrictions. That CD totals $27,456. We had some discussions about Codell's draw schedule, city hall renovations, so we've got some follow-up to do on that draw schedule. I don't think it's followed what they had planned to do, so we'll look at that. Our item 3 was fiscal year 2024 year-end update. So the revenues actually exceeded the budget by $5.3 million, and the expenses were under budget by $1.6 million. So that was some good activity there. Some of those items or property taxes came in a plus 45,000. Employment withholding was plus 1.5 million. Net profits came in 4.1 million over, and insurance premium was about 307,000 over. We talked about 2025 finance goals and objectives, came up with some: to continue to monitor and evaluate investment opportunities, adopt a fund balance reserve, approve cooperative purchasing sources, adopt and update procurement manual, purchasing card implementation to replace the Visa cards, Strand stormwater management fee development contract, has a discussion on that, development impact fee ordinance, review the ARPA fund balance and commit remaining funds by 12/31/24. Then we looked at some potential capital projects, talked about City Hall project, Lanes Run Business Park Phase 3, the regional IDA, Lexus Way land acquisition, future fire department locations, and Marshall Park updates, and then adjourn the meeting.
Thank you. Next, Item number 10, we have A, Raynor Door Authority, GMWSS, so Chase.
Thank you, Mayor. We have about 4 items for your consideration. The first is a purchase order for Raynor Door, and it's in the amount of $10,285. This is a purchase order for a complete door system, motor, track, and door installation, and this is on our shop building that was part of the original wastewater plant 2 construction. It needs to be replaced. We obtained the bids with Raynor being the low bid.
All right, need a motion?
Motion, Mayor.
Motion made by Ms. Tackett. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second made by Ms. Hambrick. Are there further questions and/or comments? All those in favor of item A, Raynor Door Authority, for $10,285, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed likewise.
Next, we have a purchase order for Brentag. This is one that I'm bringing to you about every other month. This is for $11,205. This is for sodium hypochlorite, which is our primary disinfectant for our water plant. This is a bid item. It's budgeted on this schedule. This is for 4,500 gallons, and as I said, it lasts about a month and a half. So, here for your consideration tonight.
Motion, Mayor.
Motion made by Mr. Hampton. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second made by Ms. Brent. Are there further questions and/or comments?
Yeah, real quick, Chase, is the cost of that sodium coming down any? Are you seeing?
It's about leveled off. We've actually at least had the price that was in the bid honored for,
Okay.
I think, the past couple of purchases, so.
Any other questions and/or comments? All those in favor of Brentag Mid-South for $11,205, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say likewise. Let the record reflect that the motion passed. Item C, Institute Form, AKA leak eliminators, for $18,848.60.
And in situ form, that's just the new name for leak eliminators. It's a contractor that we use on a lot of work, as does the city. I believe the city engineer uses leak eliminators in situ form as well. This is simply a pass-through cost. This is not from our rate revenue. This is not from our customers. This is a pass-through cost that a developer is paid. Sometimes we like to do the work on the system on behalf of the developer, but we've already received that reimbursement. This is just so we can pay the contractor that's done the work versus the contractor doing that with us inspecting. This is just a situation where it worked out better for, we wanted to do this work as it involved coring an existing manhole. Pretty minimal amount of work, but this is just a pass-through, and we've already received the check.
So this wasn't a bid item?
No, sir.
Okay.
Well, yes, actually it was, because in situ forms prices are bid prices. That does go out for bid.
I would entertain a motion at this time. Motion made by Mr. Showalter. Do I have a second?
Second, Mayor.
Second made by Ms. Tackett. Are there any further questions and/or comments?
So Chase, there's only one bid on this?
I'd have to think
That's
back.
what
I
it's
want to
showing
say
on
we
the-
had 2 at the time. We do this, I believe it was a 1-year contract with multiple annual renewals, and we bid, it's a unit price contract for different types of work that we do regularly. And that was awarded to leak eliminators, and I'd have to look to see when that was. But they're definitely in one of their renewals.
Any other questions and/or comments? All those in favor of the motion that leak eliminators for $18,848.60 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say likewise. Item D, C and R Asphalt LLC for $116,500.
Last, this is a purchase order for paving of our distribution operations center that's in the building across from our admin building, the parking lot, the equipment storage, the laydown yard, that's all covered in gravel. Over time, that's washed out. This project will allow for permanent hard surface of that entire site where we need drivable surfaces. CNR Asphalt was the low bidder on this project, $116,500. This project is funded through, this is the first project we're bringing to you that was funded through the line item grant that we secured through the state legislature, House Bill 1 in the 2024 Kentucky General Assembly. So this is a funded project, which is exciting, but this is the first of many that was in that application. So we're very excited to finally get this work done.
Do I have a motion?
Motion, Mayor.
Motion made by Mr. Allen. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second made by Ms. Hambrick. Are there further questions and or comments?
Real quick, what, that $125,000 has to be spent by when?
I don't know that there's a sunset clause on that. We've actually asked that, and it's newer, and we're getting information slowly. I don't think it has a sunset clause, but we're going to be bringing you project after project as quickly as we can, so we don't test that. And with that bid coming in, I think it was $7,500, $8,000 under budget. We will find use for those additional dollars.
Are there any other questions and or comments? All those in favor of the motion CNR Asphalt LLC for $116,500 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say likewise.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Council.
Council.
Item 11, Chief Administrative Officer, Municipal Order, Reallocation of Tourist ARPA Funds.
So council might recall that tourism, or the ARPA Philanthropy Committee met and determined different organizations that we would share our ARPA dollars with to make a public impact in the community. Tourism was allocated $31,000 of that, $10,000 for a mural program and $21,000 for a community stage. Lori was searching high and low for a stage and was finding that the expense was far beyond her need and believes that she could repurpose the stage that we currently have. So that money had not gone spent yet. As you'll recall, there's been a lot of conversation with the council about parade safety. The string barriers don't do a great job keeping kids from running after candy and things like that. So law enforcement can only do so much to keep people back, but tourism is willing to use, to repurpose that money and purchase those parade barricades that can be used by the city, tourism, other public agencies, if we partner with them to figure out storage of those. So they're willing to procure that and make that purchase, and I think it'd be a broad community benefit, and I know you all have asked about it a lot. So that's what this municipal order would accomplish, is just allowing them to use those dollars in that way.
One motion, Mayor.
Motion made by Ms. Tackett. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second made by Mr. Showalter. Are there further questions or comments? Yes.
Do we have an approximate cost on those barriers?
Yes, we have a bunch of different kinds, and all of them are within that range. It just matters what kind of weight you want, what kind of functionality. Assistant Chief Nash actually sent a lot of samples, and Councilman Stone sent some as well quite a while back. So we shared all those with tourism to say, when they go to get, I think this will fall within formal quotes in terms of procurement. It won't be a true bid, but there's opportunity they measured out the length of street that they would need and exactly how many barricades they would need, and it's doable within this range.
So it's within this fund amount?
Yes.
Do we know potential timing on when we might be able to receive these?
As soon as this is approved, we can give them the green light to make the purchase. I can ask for a projected. I don't know what the lead time is on something like that. I guess it would depend, but I don't see any reason why they couldn't move forward with the process upon approval.
I think this will be a real, as you're talking about safety, and we all know how it can be when you're talking about parades and kids coming up. So this is an avenue that this council brought to, that we need to look into and find some way that we can keep the participants as well as those that are spectating safe. So this is, I think, is a good step forward in doing that. So do I have a motion? And I had a proper second. Are there other further questions and or comments?
Well, will some of this money be used for storage of the items?
We have located an enclosed trailer that the fire department is no longer using that for the time being could potentially accommodate these, but if not, Public Works is going to work with us to figure out a solution. So no, there's nothing being purchased with this funding for the storage. We've got a couple in-house options that we're gonna try to work with.
So you don't think they'll come back and ask for money for storage, do you?
We've told them that we will do the storage, so if anybody comes back and asks for money, it's us. But we've got a pretty extensive enclosed trailer that the police or the fire department has shared photos of, and we've got the dimensions on that, so the intent is to use that for the time being.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor of the motion to municipal order reallocation of tourist ARPA funds signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say likewise. Let the record reflect that the municipal order reallocation of tourism ARPA funds was passed. Next, we have coming up, item 12 will be from the police department, the recovery support team presentation. So while they're getting ready to come up here, I want to give hats off to this organization here. You know, you're talking about, they're dealing with a very vulnerable group who, it's almost like an outreach program to where we're trying to help those that has addiction or finding ways to actually put in resources. And this group here, since the formation of this, has been moving step forward. Just last year, we added, Corey Council to that group.
Thank you.
Along with the others. And they themselves, in a matter of months, worked hard to actually get the certification for a recovery-ready city. And that is a distinction that we all want to strive for, and I think at that time, we were number 10 in the state that had this distinction. So yes, my hat's off to you, and before I do anything, I'm going to give you a hand clap. I think you all do that. And I'll turn it over to you after that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm Patrick. I'm on the Community Recovery and Support team. I will have to say Corey deserves the vast majority of the credit getting us the Recovery Ready Community designation. He did 95% of the work by himself. But just to kind of give you guys an idea of what we are and what we do, we kind of put together a little packet for you. The front page is just kind of a description of what we are and what we do, and I'll kind of go over that. But we got some charts and some more information. If you're like me, you're a visual person, you like to look at the info. But so we are the Community Recovery and Support Team. We are a grant-funded position within the police department. The grant is the Justice Assistance Grant through the state. We have 4 main priorities, well, 5 now, excuse me. And they are drug court, post-overdose response, angel program, community mental health, and then now the mental health court that is being started up. Drug court, our job is essentially just to ensure program compliance within the participants of drug court. We do that through curfew checks, home checks. We provide insight during staffing. We find absconders and bring them back to the courthouse. And anything else the court demands of us or asks of us, anything we can do to help out. Since we have been involved, we have approximately a 90% graduation rate from drug court, which is awesome. It's fantastic. I love it. Another thing that we do is the Community Mental Health Coalition. It's a monthly meeting that we host at the police department. It is closed to the public, but it involves a lot of behavioral health specialists, harm reduction specialists, hospital staff, local community leaders, mental health specialists, and anyone that can kind of help, where we discuss specific issues around Georgetown and Scott County and how to develop a specific and realistic and tangible solution to that problem. The third thing that we do is the Angel program. If you're not familiar with it, it's a voluntary program that we offer to individuals suffering from substance use disorder. The program started initially in Massachusetts about 10 years ago, I think a little longer than that. The way we do it is anyone can come to the police department, or we can come meet them anywhere. We'll sit down with them. Corey does a short assessment to kind of determine what needs they need or what it is that they want, be it long-term treatment or short-term treatment, inpatient detox, outpatient, or if they just want help getting set up with the local medication-assisted treatment facility here in Scott County or close by. So once we do that assessment with them, any narcotics or paraphernalia they have on them, we mark for destruction through our evidence. We don't charge them criminally for it because they're coming forward to get help. So we're not going to charge them for seeking help. Once that has been completed, if it is something that requires transportation to a treatment center or facility, we provide that transportation for them. We have unmarked cars. We don't have cages, so they sit in the back of our car. It's like a normal ride. It's to be less intimidating. We also accept referrals from the community. We have great relationships with a lot of community partners, and they will refer individuals to us. We will go and meet with them and the same process. Other officers on patrol as well, if they respond to a call for service and they realize that either a very minor nonviolent crime or no real crime has been committed and this person is obviously suffering from SUD, they will call us and contact us. We can go out and respond and offer the Angel program as well. Corey's got a lot more numbers for you a little bit later, and the numbers are in the packet as well if you'd like to look at them. The final thing that we do is the post-overdose response. It's also known as like QRT or something. There's probably a million names for it depending on where you go in the country. But essentially, we have partnered with EMS and the health department, and whenever there's an overdose in our jurisdiction, we respond to that individual within 24 to 72 hours. We provide them with Narcan, fentanyl test strips, information about the Angel program, local resources, and then the health department also provides their little packet of goodies, I guess, for lack of a better term. So when we make contact with them, like I said, Corey kind of goes and with the health department, they offer those resources. We also talk to them about Casey's Law. If you're unfamiliar with Casey's Law is, it's essentially anyone can file a petition on a friend or family member to court order them into treatment for SUD. We've seen, and Corey's got the numbers, but we've seen a significant increase in Casey's Law inquiries and petitions since we've been doing that. Through PORT, or post-overdose response team, we created an overdose fatality review board. So we look at all the overdose fatalities within our jurisdiction as well, and we determine what services could have been offered or were offered and what we can do in the future to kind of fill in any gaps that we may notice. By no means is it supposed to be a finger-pointing issue or problem or anything like that. It's the come together work. So it's the coroner's office, ourselves, EMS, the health department, and if we're lucky, someone from the hospitals comes too whenever they're not busy. So one thing that we noticed, a gap that we noticed through the overdose fatality review board is that there was a pretty high number of individuals who were traveling through our jurisdiction and who happened to just pull off on the side of the road, off on the interstate or something, use whatever narcotic it was, and then overdose and unfortunately pass away. So we created a project, which I'll let Officer Christopher talk about, to kind of address that. So I'll step aside and let him explain that.
I'm Officer Jason Christopher. So one of the things, there's a couple of them, but the one thing is we do a lot of outreach just as far as like we've been speaking at the colleges. We've actually had several cities, police departments, health departments. I got a call today from, I think it was Laurel County. More or less, they're really interested in what we're doing. The state is looking at Georgetown as something special, and we owe that to you guys. I mean, they always just how, and I'm like, because we have leaders that realize there needs to be a change to this with fentanyl coming in. So really want to just say thank you for you guys giving us the time and effort with it. So one of the things we do is, like I said, we do go to the colleges. We went to, we did a thing over at Georgetown College. We handed out over 60 boxes of Narcan. The college, we originally just went in for one class. The teacher had asked us. Next thing you know, they called us and they said, can you come do anybody that wants to for the whole college? And we went and we did that. We've had a couple other colleges reach out. We at times go down to the Amen House. We've got pamphlets and different things with Narcan. give it, hey, it's just getting it flooded out there. The other thing that we've been working on, you guys have pictures in there, they're free naloxone boxes. And what that is pretty much, we've come up with a bag, it just says, naloxone kit, and more or less, there's a box of that, fentanyl test strips, and a bunch of different information, so that they can get resources if they need to. Maybe one time they're busy. But the thing is that the reason why we came up with this idea is because a lot of people, first of all, wouldn't want to go spend the money at the store, but secondly, some people are just embarrassed to admit that I have a family member that is suffering from SUD, or maybe I have a loved one or a friend, or maybe I can just have it on me in case I see somebody on the side of the road. So it's a matter of that, taking that stigma away of going to the store, looking at your pharmacist you get your prescriptions from, and saying, I also want to buy this box of Narcan. So we put in this nice little box, you walk up, open it up, free, and you take it. Luckily, we have got 6 locations in the city now that's located on there that have given it to us. And one of the things out of these numbers that really made me really good about make me feel good about our community is there's a lot of places you would expect that for it to be taken, but some of the ones people probably wouldn't expect is a place like Bargain Hunt or Fat Cat's Pizza. They were just launched on 8/5 and their numbers are at the top. So that's to me saying that these are average people that are going to lunch or dinner or maybe going to buy something at Bargain Hunt, and they're like, you know what, it might be nice if I got this. I'm gonna go ahead and take one. So that to me really meant a lot, that our community is actually starting to work past the stigma and realizing with fentanyl, if we can just save them to another day, the 3 of us will get there and we'll save them. We'll do the best we can. So that's our idea on that. But there's pictures in there. They're really, we were able to get with the news graphic. I beg a lot. So I got them to give me boxes. I've got one more that I can place somewhere, trying to find the perfect location, but they're checkered flag. Luckily, they redid the boxes, painted them beautiful for us free of charge, and we're partnering with the health department. They made us nice stickers, and they sit there really pretty, and they look beautiful. They're nice and shiny, and I think they're really helping with the community, getting the Narcan out there, and I think that's what, when Corey explains the numbers, you guys will see that just what we've done in the last 2 years is really, and it's getting noticed in the state. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening. So on the next page where I've got all the numbers listed, I'm going to kind of combine the non-fatal overdose runs and the post-overdose response contacts because they're pretty much the same. That's where we get our information from. What I can say is the non-fatal overdose calls for service have dramatically decreased over the past 12 months. I've got a chart on the page right after that. In July, the end of July, we noticed we only had 2 overdose calls for the entire month, and we were like, oh my gosh, what a great thing. And then we went 23 straight days without another overdose call to EMS, which was shocking. But then when I printed out the chart, I noticed that's been going on for a while. May and June, we only had 3 calls for service. You can look at 2023 in May, we had 29 in the same month. So it's really making a big difference on calls for service, overdose deaths. I can tell you for all, I tried to put the numbers together as a fiscal year thing, but I don't think fiscally, I think January to December. So I can tell you for all of 2023, there were 152 calls for service, which if I go year to year to this date, that would have been 91 from January till now. So far for 2024, we only have 40. So it's really cut that down. Drop down to the Angel program. In 2023, we helped 9 people get to treatment through that program. The total for 2024 that you have on your paper was 29. Today it's 31. We had 2 additional people we helped get into treatment last Friday. Casey's Law inquiries have just been going up. I've had 27 so far this year over the phone. The clerk's office actually has people call if they ask about it to contact me so I can advocate and walk them through the process. I called the clerk's office. They've had 6 actual petitions filed. And then we've also had 17 drug court transports to treatment. So it's a pretty big number. So if we jump to overdose deaths, the sad thing is the Office of Drug Control Policy doesn't release the numbers for 6 months after the year starts, which is very aggravating. But from last year's numbers, Scott County, we went down 6, so from 23 overdose deaths to 17, which was a 35% decrease. Surrounding counties, we were the only one that had a decrease. Woodford County went up 1, Bourbon County went up 7, Franklin County went up 2. You know, we don't take any credit for this. I can tell you the Recovery Ready Community process really helped fill in some gaps, and it got all of our community partners talking to each other instead of, I do this real good, and you know, so it kind of brought everybody together. You know, Brandon Rimley at EMS is a great help for us. The Amen House and the Gathering Place have just been super supportive partners, helping us establish trust with the people. That's what gets people into treatment. So the last thing I'll say is this coming Saturday is Overdose Awareness Day. We're doing a presentation at the Token Cub in Lexington at noon, and then at 2 o'clock here in Georgetown, we're having our second Casey's Law training over at the Ed Davis Learning Center. So if anybody would like to come out, we'd be happy to have you. Any questions?
Corey, you and I, and we've had conversation earlier, and I asked you to come to present this to council on some of the update information that you presented to us tonight. And I asked the question then, and I'm gonna answer it again so council will know. What are some of the barriers that you all face? I think you and I talked about that earlier. That sometimes makes it difficult for you all to meet the needs for this. So
our biggest gap currently is the detention center. You know, most overdose deaths happen after being in detention a while. You lose the tolerance to what you're using. Mm-hmm. You get out, you use the same amount. It's just deadly. So that's something we're still working on, trying to get a partnership with. You know, the stigma around the community is still simmering. You know, nobody wants to admit you have a family member or friend that's suffering. And that's one big thing about the boxes that Officer Christopher talked about is, you know, currently in Scott County, you can only go to the Syringe Service Program Mondays from 12 to 4. Well, that's nothing really. We needed 24/7 access to where people aren't asking anybody for anything. They can just go, grab it, they're gone. Mm-hmm. So those are, you know, hope I answered that.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Mayor, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, you said that the program is largely grant-funded. Are we using any of the opioid abatement funds, and do you see a need to consider using more funds from that?
So I can say that the opioid abatement money that the city got is what got my position.
Right.
You know, as far as the other grants, there's a lot of opioid grant money out there.
Right.
We're still really interested in the Recovery Community Center. So we're still trying to work out the kinks. Officer Nevitt's working on that real hard.
But other than your position, we're really not tapping into the opioid abatement funds for...
As of now, the only thing we are allocating those funds to is Corey's position. I know that we heard from the folks with the net device a couple meetings ago, and we're working on getting some numbers for them for council to consider it. I heard from a number of council members that were interested in knowing what it would look like to fund some of that work. So we are going to get that. But as you know, and Councilman Allen asked the question before the meeting, we'll get you a number of how much we currently have. But we've got multiple settlements. They're over a period of years. Some of the folks make payments on, you know, year 1. Some make 1 through 5. So that the kind of cadence of how that money's coming in is a little interesting. But that doesn't mean that there's not flexibility in us, you know, spending some more of it beyond Corey's position.
Okay. Well, hats off to you for the good work you're doing. Truly.
Thank you.
Were there any other questions?
Yeah, I've got a couple questions. In the drug court, you talked about a 90% graduation rate. What are you seeing in terms of the recidivism rate, and how long are you monitoring the individuals?
So I don't have those numbers for you. Drug court has them. People do recidivize. They do have return to uses, unfortunately. we've been really pushing as they get closer to graduation and their responsibilities within the program have lessened. We encourage them to engage in the recovery community, finding a positive community to be a part of. There's many different aspects. Obviously, recovery looks different for everyone. We don't pick a single one for them to participate in, but if we do encourage them to get in one, because we see that as they get into a positive recovery community or a positive community, the recidivism rate is dropped significantly. And I know the drug court staff have been working alongside recent graduates to create an alumni group for the drug court participants, just because drug court is kind of a unique experience. So obviously if they have other people they can talk to and kind of work with in that aspect, it helps them maintain their recovery and not return to use and not recidivize.
If you could get those numbers, it would be good. And I'd like to see the individuals, if you can get this, the individuals that are using recovery programs and the recidivism rate from that, so we can kind of evaluate what programs are looking like they're effective or not.
You mean like treatment programs?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if I can get that
Okay.
information because it's the like protected privacy aspect of participating in drug court. I'll look into it,
Okay,
but
I appreciate
just
that.
so you know, I may not be able to provide that
Okay,
information.
if you can, I appreciate it. And the other question I had was on the Community Mental Health Coalition. It says hosting a monthly coalition of community partners. Who are some of your partners?
So Amen House, the Gathering Place, was it New Vista, drug court staff, there's so many, Isaiah House, EMS, the Ridge, I mean, there's probably 80 members. I can't remember them off the top of my head, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. Is the hospital one of the members?
Yes,
Okay.
When they can come.
And the health department, maybe?
Health department comes quite a bit.
Yeah.
Brandon Rimley from EMS comes. I'm sure there's probably like 30 more I'm going to kick myself for not mentioning right now, and I'll remember as soon as I walk out the door. But quite a bit of local. We try and focus on local community because we can work together better. And as you see the numbers, the more we all work together, the more there's been a significant reduction in overdose fatalities and non-fatalities and getting people into treatment. And that's kind of, the main focus. But I do want to give a shout out to Peyton Tuck real quick, the gentleman who passed out your form. He's our new PARI representative who's embedded in our police department. If you don't know what PARI is, it's Police Assisted Addiction Recovery Initiative. Yes. That is the position that Corey had prior to being employed full-time. So we've been lucky enough to have Mr. Tuck join us. He's kind of doing everything with us as well. So it's great to have an extra body that way.
And in terms of administering Narcan, we just go to the police department, you guys train us on how to do that?
Yeah, it'll take notes. If you want to come out Saturday to the cases law training, we do a little presentation on Narcan at the end as well. But yeah, you can come to us or the health department, EMS, any of them, the hospital too, I would imagine. I don't know if they do, but I know us, EMS, and the health department, you can go get trained. It takes a minute and a half. If you ever use Flonase, it's very similar to that. Just don't prime it. You just one press.
The last question I have, are you familiar with the NET device that we had the presentation on? I see Corey shaking his head yes.
I've heard of it. I won't say I'm familiar with it.
I'll send you some videos on it.
Yeah, the science goes above me. I'm just a lowly police officer.
I'll send you some videos on it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, any other? Well, again, thank you all for what you do in servicing and outreaching the most vulnerable citizens we have and figuring out a way that we can continue to do good for them. And because that's the main gist of this, is helping those that really need help. And so, thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Item number 13, Public Works Municipal Order, the purchase of a dump truck.
We'd like for approval to purchase a dump truck from Worldwide Equipment. You've got MO in front of you, and I'll answer any questions.
Well, it's a budgeted item, right?
Motion,
Yes,
Mayor.
it's a budget item.
Second.
A budget item, okay, motion made by Mr. Allen, second by Mr. Tackett, are there further questions and/or concerns? All those in favor of the municipal order allowing Public Works to purchase of a dump truck, signify by saying aye.
Aye. Thank you,
Those
Mayor,
opposed
Council.
say likewise. Let the record reflect it did pass. And wonderful. All right, next, item 14, we have council comments. And I'm going to start this time with Ms. Tackett.
Well, okay, Mayor. Well, tonight was a good meeting. I'm glad it was not quite as long as the last time, but it's good. I appreciate everything that everyone has said about the regional park, and I also heard about what's going on with Derby Estates, and we'll continue to monitor that. And it just first came to our attention that Tuesday night or Monday night to Traffic Committee. But I also want to know that I do know that parents are receiving emails about what their students should be doing, like the next day after that meeting. So people are paying attention. I just want to make sure you know that. And other than that, I'm glad Robert got a dump truck.
Finally.
I don't have anything else, Mayor. Thank you.
Mr. Allen?
A couple things. One is the opioid abatement fund. We just continue to follow up on that to make sure that we're looking at that for the net device. And for GMWSS, I'd like for you guys to look at the sodium bulk that you're getting. I think Chase said that was getting it every other month. Maybe a bulk purchase of that, and just look at a cost of that. See if we can't save some money there. In regards to the park name that Mr. Thomas spoke about, I don't believe that there is a clear policy on that. So I would like to make sure that we do have a policy in place for the naming of a park or the changing of name of a park to make it easy for our citizens that are out there trying to get this created. So we just need to make sure that the policy is clear, whatever that looks like, and whatever we need to do in terms of if we need to create an ordinance, I'd be happy to co-sponsor that as well. Glad you got your dump truck. You've been fighting for it, so thank you. That's all, Mayor.
Mr. Stone?
Just want to say that, school's back in session, want to make sure that our, not only our drivers are paying attention to what they're doing. We've got a lot of really novice drivers that are on the road as well. And their main goal is to hurry up and get to high school. So, I know that the police department's got their operation.
Drop on?
No, what is it? Stop arm.
Stop on.
Yeah. So hopefully that'll get going here very soon. And to the folks at Derby Estates, we're going to keep fighting for it every step we get. And so the only thing I got left is it's August 26th and still nothing on our impact fees. So we're ticking.
We updated at the last meeting that they're presenting on the 23rd of September. So that presentation will be, they're scheduled, they're flying in to do the presentation.
Okay, time's ticking away.
All right, okay, Mr. Showalter.
I wasn't at our last, the past traffic committee meeting, so I'd like to try to see if I can get some clarification so I'll better understand, and maybe it might be helpful to others as well. I've listened to all the comments tonight, and then I listened to your mayor comments. Just a couple quick questions on Long Lake Pike. I know there was a request since our last council meeting to look at potentially adding additional street lights, one of which was at the right there where Derby Estates and the new entrance to the high school are, but another was back at Cardinal Drive and Long Lake Pike as well. So is that still being discussed, or has it been discussed? And if so, what progress, if any, have we made?
We have not really discussed that yet, because I know that we're getting information from them, but we will look at all that, and I think you sent something to me on that, so we're looking at what can be done about that at this time. and I'll get back to you.
Okay, so that's still being looked at.
Yes.
The second item, with Long Lake Pike being, I believe, a state road, are either the Georgetown Police Department or the Scott County Sheriff's Department sitting there at that intersection each morning and also in the afternoon, trying to prevent cars coming out of the house
They have
school
been
taking a
monitoring.
left?
They have been monitoring.
Okay, so
Those locations, yes.
is that the Georgetown Police Department or the
Both.
sheriff? Both?
Yes.
Okay. And then, so that's going to continue at this point?
As far as I know, at this point, we have not discussed in detail, but we're going to continue to do that if all possible.
Third item, when you're at the roundabout there on Long Lake Pike, working your way back to 25, has there been any discussion at all of trying to lower the speed limit on that stretch of road? I mean, granted, it wouldn't be a city decision, but since that's a state road, but has there been any discussion on that potentially happening?
Not at this time, but that was something that we maybe want to look
Okay.
at.
As a follow-up to that question then, I know when you're down at Royal Spring Middle School, they've got a speed limit sign with the flashing lights when school's in session. If the speed limit can't be lowered, could we look at possibly adding a speed limit sign with those flashing lights?
I believe that we are looking at that at this time, a caution light being put there. I think the
Okay.
school is looking to doing that.
And then I didn't realize until tonight, I think I heard Mrs. Catron's, and I hope I don't misspeak here, but it sounds like there's also a potential issue inside the subdivision. Have we looked at potentially adding speed limit signs inside the subdivision and maybe our additional patrols inside the subdivision, which is a city subdivision?
Right, and if anything else, it goes through traffic committee. I think they make all their recommendations through traffic committee. They in turn, because they have not only people with the city, they have state people involved, and that is a working committee. So that is the avenue where they need to go to
So
that.
when is the next traffic committee? So the folks here in the audience and us as council members will know.
It's always the third Monday in,
According to the MUTCD manual, you get one stop sign or one speed limit sign per neighborhood. Doesn't matter how big, one per.
Oh, gosh. But I do want to say that when speeding issues are brought up in subdivisions, the police department do go out there and put those lights up, flashing lights, the trailer, you know, for a period of time. And then since we've just started our traffic unit, we now have, when there's issues come up in the traffic meeting at that point too, they start monitoring those subdivisions for speeding.
okay. So that's something we probably need to continue on with the traffic committee and
I
make
apologize for this. When is the next traffic committee? What-
Third Monday in September.
16.
And I don't know when when that second council meeting is in September, but if,
23rd.
so we can expect to get some type of feedback on
Yes.
an action plan?
Well, they'll have to make some type of recommendation from them. Yes.
Not inside the subdivision, but also on Long Lake Pike with discussion with the school system and the county government and our state representative and state senator.
Mark, I asked for a traffic light at Colony Boulevard and 25 and was turned down repeatedly, so, from the state.
So,
Because the traffic doesn't support it. It's only busy there twice a day.
so there is a chance that so there is a chance that we'll have some additional information at our second council meeting in September. Is that a fair, as far as getting feedback?
Yes.
To the to the people in the community that are asking?
Yes.
Inside the subdivision and also outside the subdivision?
Yes.
Fair enough?
It'll be done through the traffic committee, yes.
Okay, and then the last question is, and I should have asked questions, but I know we're limited on what we can and can't say in public comments, but the two gentlemen here that spoke, Mr. Thomas spoke about the Ed Davis Park. Is the intent trying to change the name? Is that what the long-term goal is? Or short-term goal or long-term goal? Is that?
I think, the way I understand it, the intent is they're trying to identify the Boston community as a separate from Ed Davis. That's the idea. That's what they're trying to bring to the petition. You know, it's right now it's Ed Davis Park, and of course you got Ed Davis Learning Center. I believe the idea is to actually have Ed Davis Learning Center stay as it is, and actually change it to where the park is called whatever they call it, Boston Community, whatever. I think that's what their goal is.
Okay, so there's gonna be some additional discussion on that in the weeks or months ahead.
Yes, I'm going to continue to, as I said, I've talked with Drew on this, Beckett, who's the director for Parks and Rec, and we will continue to have conversation on this issue.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Mr. Hampton.
Thank you, Mayor. No questions tonight, just a couple of comments. First of all, appreciate all the comments, and on Derby, on the regional business park. On Derby, you know, I think the mayor and his council will do what we can to help resolve the situation out there. I don't know, could be limited, but we'll, you know, we as a council will work to help out. On the regional park, I know, you know, there's still a lot of questions to be answered. You know, we just don't know. You know, information still coming in, as the mayor said earlier, and as we get that information, hopefully we can make better decisions based on that. The last thing, it was noted in the Finance Committee minutes tonight regarding the 24 update. You know, I don't know if you paid attention to that, but I think that was good news for fiscal 23-24. You know, revenues being higher, expenses being lower. So, you know, we're making progress, and that's really good. So that's it, Mayor.
Thank you. Ms. Hamburg?
Yeah, that is good news. Did I hear that we are $5.3 million above?
On revenues.
On revenues?
On revenues, and 1.6
Lower.
costs. So operating is 7.7 million.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fantastic. How much of that is the increase in the Revenue Commission work that we were concerned about a year ago? Do we know how that is helping our revenue stream?
No, but I'll get that information for you.
Okay. Because I think that could be significant as well. It probably is helping.
I do want to know, I know we're all talking about those numbers. Those are unaudited, so
Yes.
I know, I see Stacy over there, like,
Yes.
praying that I say that. So there is a chance that if there's some net profits credits due to any kind of, you know, an advance payment or an estimated payment,
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to move the needle that much, but I did want to note that there's still some numbers flowing in and out there, so that'll change just a little bit.
Okay.
Well, I was just highlighting what was in the
Yeah.
minutes.
Thank you. School resource officers, you know, we are doing things for children, and having those officers promote in the newspaper, thank you for doing that, Georgetown News Graphic, and thank you for integrating those resource officers. I think that's a fantastic program and a good partnership between the schools and the county and the city, and that's how government best works. So I'm really excited about those positions and what they're doing. Also, I had two rightfully angry notes from business owners downtown about downtown closures, and I know we're working on an events. Do we have a time frame? People are concerned that they're losing business when Main Street is closed, and I know that there are things that we want to identify every year, that this is a community event where road closures will be justified, but for other events, there might be sites that we can put them off-site so that we're not continuing to, so do we know when this might be out of draft form and we can tell these business owners?
I do know that we're still working on that process, and I don't think it's going to change at this point in time what we have, but I think we are in the process of doing that.
Yeah, and it's meticulous. It's not an easy thing. I've been in the committees that's working on it, but I do tell them when they write that we are working on a system that will clean this up and make it more efficient and be more pleasing. Also, I'm really concerned about the Derby Estates traffic thing, and this is how government is not supposed to work. We should not just be able to have a log jam between the school board and it's really nobody's fault, but it's a state road, and we do have a traffic committee that can hopefully help inside of Derby Estates, and we can do some things as a city, but there are things that we can't do. But I do think maybe, since it's an election year, our state representatives and our state senators, I don't know if we could collectively write to them and say this is a problem and the city is concerned about it and it's a safety issue. I mean, I think we need to think outside the box here if we've got a log jam and
I've already reached out to
okay, good. Yeah, because, you know, community pressure does make a difference, and I think city pressure and county pressure can make a difference too. And I know the traffic committee's well aware of it, and it's a thing. The final thing is, I'm really glad that in the finance committee to hear the vision work that you're doing and trying to look, you know, we need to figure out the impact fees, we need to figure out fire station, we need to figure out, you know, wastewater treatment. We're looking forward, and as we see the increase in revenue, we've got a lot of places that we need to slot that money and pay attention to. So thank you for being a visionary, the visionary work you're doing. That's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Ms. Brent.
Well, for the Derby, I appreciate the public coming in and voicing their concerns about that. I have family and friends that live in the neighborhood, so I understand. And it's only one way in and one way out. So I understand where you're coming from, and whatever I can do, however I can use my voice, I'm here willing to help. As being part of the fire committee, I'm excited and proud of the men and women that have been promoted, and I'm happy that they've been promoted in-house. It's, you know, very seldom do you get jobs that you promote in-house. They always go outside, so I'm very excited about that and thankful for that. I think that's all I have.
All right, if there's no other further business to be brought to this council, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Hey, Mark.